Hello everyone, it's NotaNoobPat, and welcome to Perk Review. Today we're taking a look at the level 35 Bill Perk, Borrowed Time. When you rescue a survivor off the hook in the killer's terror radius with this perk, the unhooked survivor will get a 15-second endurance status effect. When the survivor has this status effect and they are hit, they won't go back into the dying state. The visual demonstration will be very helpful for this if you are unfamiliar with this perk. This perk is great all around, but excellent for rescuing survivors out of the basement because it's really hard to exit out of the basement without taking a hit if the killer is close. The perk is also a great counter to proxy and face camping. Then this perk is awesome in the endgame. Killers will often try to stick between the hook and the door, so this perk can be the difference between surviving or not, as you'll see in the examples. The cons are that if you are rescued from the hook not in the killer's terror radius, you're gonna gain nothing from using this perk. This can be good and bad. It could be good because then the killer is not close and you don't have to worry about your teammate being tunneled. It could also be bad though because some killers have the ability to not have a terror radius like Wraith, Pig, Ghostface, or Mikey. Therefore, they can't be affected by this perk at certain times. Let's get into our demonstration. Here, I am being unhooked in the killer's terror radius and receive borrowed time and the endurance status effect that comes with it. When I'm hit, I don't go into the dying state. Instead, you will get a deep wound, which means you have to mend or be mended by a teammate, or you will go into the dying state. If the perk is active, the unhooked survivor will get a borrowed time notification on the left. On the right, the 15-second endurance status effect will rotate counterclockwise. Now let's see the other survivor's perspective. When you unhook a survivor in the killer's terror radius, they're gonna get BT. I don't like that you don't know when this perk activates for an unhooked survivor. It's a bit of a guessing game from your side. Finally, here is an example of how the perk could not work. The Wraith has the ability to go invisible and lose their terror radius. So even though the Wraith is close, there is no terror radius, so the perk won't activate as you can see, and the survivor is going to go into the dying state instead of having the endurance status effect from this perk. Let's get into our examples. In the first three examples, I will be rescuing survivors off the hook with borrowed time. In the last one, the survivor who rescues me off the hook will give me borrowed time. After my teammate and I complete the final generator, my teammate heads for the door, and I head for the area where my teammate is about to go down. When I go for the unhook, Freddy quickly returns to the hook and hits my teammate while he still has the endurance status effect. My teammate is able to use the speed boost from the endurance hit and make it safely out of the exit gate. Without borrowed time, he would have went right into the dying state and he would have been relying on crawling to the hatch or having a perk like Decisive Strike. But thanks to borrowed time, we didn't have to worry about that. The final generator is completed. One survivor is hooked in the basement and another goes to rescue them. Then another survivor and myself go to open the opposite doors. The survivor who was going for the save ends up getting hit down in the dying state before getting the save since the Wraith is proximity camping the basement since he knows the game is over and both gates are presumably open. Now the Wraith appears to be content with 2 kills but is looking for more. However, I have borrowed time so I'm going to go in. I take a hit right after the first unhook and then grab the other survivor as well. Now both of these survivors have the borrowed time endurance status effect, and the Wraith ends up coming for me, but I dead hard through his hit, and it hits a survivor with borrowed time, so we are all good. With all the survivors successfully out of the basement, the Wraith decides to call it quits 30 seconds early and disconnects. Here's my final example of me using the perk. My teammate is being hooked as I crawl to the exit gate. Rather than leave, I want my teammates to heal me up so I can go use my borrowed time and get a save so we can all escape. My teammates finish up my heal right on time and I immediately take a hit from the spirit. I'm able to use the speed boost to get to the survivor and unhook them with borrowed time. I dead hard through the spirit's sword and it hits the unhooked survivor, but since they have borrowed time, they're good to go and we're both going to escape. Without BT, one of us was going to go down there. In the final example, my teammate is going to be giving me borrowed time. As you can see here, the clown is proxy camping my hook. Ultimately, this isn't a bad idea though since the door is right behind me. Fortunately, I have a selfless teammate who is using BT and I'm unhooked. The clown completely ignores my teammate who is trying to take a hit, and it's clear that he wants me as he throws a tonic at me to slow me down. However, I take a hit with BT and I'm able to make it out without a problem. That was a great example to end on, so now let's give this perk a grade. Borrowed time is an 8.5 out of 10. Whether you're the one using this perk or on the receiving end of it, this perk is equally helpful and fun. Let's talk about the obvious con first. If you don't gain any benefit from using this perk, it's probably because the killer is far away. And that's not actually a bad thing. This is because that likely means the killer isn't tunneling or proxy camping the hook. Now, some killers have a natural counter to this perk given that they can get rid of their terror radius, but that only prevents this perk from being a perfect 10. This perk is a lifesaver as you saw in the examples. If the killer is face camping, this is one of the only ways to complete a save without sacrificing yourself. If a killer is staying close to the hook in the endgame, this perk is the best way for a survivor group to escape. I would go on and give this perk more credit, but I feel like the video demonstration spoke for itself. This perk is fun to use, helpful for your teammates, and can be the difference between dying or living. Borrowed time is one of the best perks in the game. It's just that simple. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like. If you want to check out more perk review, make sure to look for the links in the description and visit my channel to subscribe. I also stream twice a week on Twitch if you want to stop by. Take it easy.